Good morning, everybody. We are on the final day of the tile job. I never thought it would come. There's so much tile, but we are here and it is done. Well, almost done. We're gonna do some grouting today. So let me take you inside and show you around. Coming in the door here, look at all of that tile that we've done. Crazy. And then we've grouted everything except from the dirty spot here all the way to there. So this part right here, which we are just about out of grout, but I want to show you how to do it. So I've kept some for you. And then in the kitchen here, we tiled underneath of the dishwasher and underneath of the stove, underneath the desk over here, up to the door with a nice transition of grout right there, and then under there. And then the customer wants me to cut some tiles and he's gonna use them as a toe kick for under there. So that's the later project. And then into the bedroom here, tiled up to there. He did under there before I got here. So it fit nice and perfect actually. And then into that closet, underneath the closet pantry shelves there, all the way to the bedroom, into the closet, and then under the everything basically. And then he did the bathroom. And so we did this transition piece going with these pieces going this way and those pieces going that way. And it's dark in there because it's no light, of course, so same tile. But anyways, we need to make some grout to finish this section right here, basically finishing up the entire job, which is going to be phenomenal. And I cannot wait to get it finished. So anyways, let's show you how to make some grout and clean it up. Let's do it. So the things you're going to need to mix grout are grout itself. So this is the bag of grout that he chose. So this is just a sanded grout. They have non-sanded grout as well. And basically what sanded means is that there's sand inside the grout. And it works good for high traffic areas. It works really good because it holds tight. And then also it works good on rough tiles like this because you don't have to worry about scratching the surfaces. But if you were to use a shiny or smooth tile, smooth tile, you would want to use a non-sanded grout. That way it doesn't scratch the surface of your tile and make it look dull. So sanded grout, and this one is a brown color. It's not the color he wanted, but it is close to it. And the sticker's gone missing, but it's brown. So that's probably all you need to know anyways. Then you're gonna need a bucket. And then inside this bucket, you're gonna pour your grout in here. And then I'm also mixing sealer into my grout. So I'm not sure everybody does that, but I like to do it so it permeates the grout. That way if any stains, say you drop a glass of wine or whatever red grape juice onto the floor, it's not going to stain the grout, which is nice. And this is brown grout, so it's a little less stainable anyways. And then you can always mop the tile with a sponge over the sponge mop with grout sealer to seal it. This tile does not need sealed, but some tiles actually need sealed themselves, not just the grout. So we're gonna pour this in here, which we've already done because there's not basically any left. He's gone to the store to pick up some more because he's supplying materials for this job. So we poured that in, and then we poured the correct amount of this in. Just read the instructions on the back. This will go for a whole 25-pound bag, which is one of these. And so you just had to make sure even proportions, it's not super critical. Pour it in there, and then for a simple job, you can just mix it with your little trowel, or you can take a drill with a paddle bit and mix it. So I'm just mixing it with this because I'm only using like that much at a time because I don't want it to get set up and dry. And so if I mix it by hand, then I only mix a little bit, not a big deal. But if you're mixing a whole 5-gallon bucket, definitely use a drill. And then once you get it to the right consistency, you don't want it too thick because then it will be hard to put it into the grout, but you don't want it too thin and soupy because then it won't stick in the grout when you wash it off. So now that that's mixed, we need to fill the bucket with water, which is gonna do over here. And then we're going to get the sponge and get it wet, and then I'll show you how to lay the grout inside the tiles inside. Let's do it. Okay, so we've got the grout right here, and then we've got a bucket full of clean water right there, that orange thing in the sun. And then we've got a clean sponge. So we're going to start with putting the grout in the lines here of the tile, and we'll clean up with this. Now usually you use a thing called a float, and it's just it has a handle and then it has a flat surface on the bottom. It's usually made out of like a rubber material, and you scoop it out of the bucket with that, and then you slide it across diagonally from your lines. So instead of going with your lines, you go across diagonally, and it squeezes the grout into the lines here. But after doing 1,000 square feet of tile, I have found that this works best for this tile. For me, I'm just putting it in the lines really quickly with this by scraping it around and forcing it into the hole. That helps me not get air bubbles, and then also it keeps me from wasting grout because this tile is a little rough, and so it holds the grout. So when I go to sponge it, it just wastes a ton of it. So I'm using this, but this is not technically the proper way to do it. So just so you know, I told you, use a float. But that's what I'm doing all the way across the room, just like this. And I just do a section at a time, usually about like maybe 4 square feet, because if I go any further, I can't reach where I started, and then also it'll dry on me, and it's really hard to get off the top of the tile. So you're gonna do a 4-foot section and then clean it. Okay, and that's about as far as I go. So about 2 foot by 2 foot, which makes 4 square feet. I'm gonna take my sponge, which is already clean, and I'm just gonna go over it once, basically in a diagonal pattern, but circular is fine too. So I just do a circular pattern like this. I get the main stuff off, and then I flip the sponge over to the clean side, and then I go over the farthest and come back. And then I rinse the sponge in the water. Now, if your hands are sensitive or you don't want chemicals in your bloodstream, you might want to wear gloves, but I hate gloves when it comes to this, so I'm not wearing them. But my fingers have showed a lot of age in the last couple days. But anyways, regardless, clean it up, flip the sponge, and by the second pass, you're gonna be pretty clean actually. I'm going to do one more pass with the sponge, but I'm also gonna check for air bubbles. Right here and right here, there's no grout, or there's some missing. So I'm gonna put it in there, scrape the excess off, and then when I go over it with the dirty side, and that's it. That is basically how you do grout. Now the only thing that I have left to do is the rest of this room, which this probably took me like 3 minutes. So 3 minutes times 40 square feet, so it's gonna be at least, I don't know, it's gonna be a while. But we'll get it done. And then we have to mix more grout and all that stuff, and then cut some tiles for over there. But that is the basics on how to do grout. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing. Sometimes when you're going to do the grout, in between the tiles, the mortar can squeeze through if you get too much underneath, which is fine because you want a lot underneath the tile. But if it squeezes through, it'll show in your grout line, so you have to come back through and scrape it. And I just use a painter scraper tool basically, and I come back through in the grout line and I just scrape it out and clean it out with my sponge before I put the grout in, because usually your mortar is white or gray or black. And if it's a different color than your grout, when it's sticking through, you'll see it, especially if it's white, you'll see little white humps where you had your trowel before was. So anyways, if you run into that, just scrape it out, no big deal. Try not to chip your tile, and that'll be it. And then once this dries, we'll come back through and clean it, mop it, and then Swiffer it to the end, and it will look beautiful. Anyways, I'm gonna do some more of this, and I'll catch back up with you in a little bit. It has been a little bit later already, and we ran out of grout like we were planning on because we didn't have very much. And so we are now to that point. So he is soon to be back with some more grout, and we'll finish this section right here and then fix the air bubbles in this section. And we will be done with the entire project. But check this out. I did this off camera because I didn't know how it was gonna go, and I didn't want to spend the extra time videoing it. But we took full-size tiles, which are 5 3/4 wide, just under 6 inches anyways. And then we cut them basically in half. And then we're using them as a toe kick down below. Now these are just sitting there. The customer wants to glue them on, and he wants to wait until he gets some stonework on the front of this thing done. And so that is what that is for. All the way around there, and then over here as well. So, and then you can come back and caulk the top of this to make it look smooth. Right now, it's just a waiting game. Once he comes back, then we'll mix up some more grout, stick it in there, clean it off, and I've already got the truck loaded up. So put the little tools I have left away, and then we'll be on the road. So I will catch up with you in the truck in like, not even a second. You see this smile? It's not fake. We just finished the job completely, which is good because we've already been paid for it. And sometimes I don't like being paid before I'm done because then you just kind of lose all drive to finish. But this job, I didn't. And the guy was super easy to work for. And we have jobs in the future we're gonna work together on, so it's gonna be great. Maybe some porch additions coming up in the spring. I told him I don't want to work in the winter outside, but he said, no problem, we'll do it in the spring. So that's pretty cool. So anyways, we got all the grouting done, all the tiling done, and all the little extra stuff he wanted, which wasn't very much. And I am headed home. So you're sitting on my dash, that's why you're wobbling all over the place. But anyways, hope you learned something cool, and I hope that if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Don't forget to look in the descriptions as always and get your free stock from Acorns or from Robinhood. So I'm still enjoying investing with them, and it's pretty neat. So hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. God bless.